Welcome. All right, here we go. Thank you very much. Welcome to another edition of Here Comes the Judge. It's Judge Dawson, the Yogi Judge. And if you have not Googled me yet, because I'm sure that you're going to Google and research anybody that you listen to, right? If you haven't Googled me yet, you don't know I'm a yoga teacher also, which is why I call myself the Yogi Judge. Now, I am probably the only judge that teaches yoga. I mean, like really teaches yoga. I teach several classes a week. First thing in the morning, lunchtime, evening, you name it. I am trying to empower people through the movement of yoga. So that's why I call myself the Yogi Judge. Look, today's topic, it is so important. Here it is. It's the equation for success. The equation for success, and most importantly, the reason that you keep multiplying your losses. So here's the equation. Your environment times your decisions equal your destiny. Your environment multiplied by your decisions equal your destiny. So here's the key. A lot of times people talk about your environment and how your environment can be toxic or it can be positive, and that is often a determining factor as to whether or not you're going to be successful or how much you're going to struggle. And I will admit, it does matter your environment. I am blessed to be a judge because, see, I'm not coming to you from some type of ivory tower where I have one lifestyle that I've lived and I just look at it from that point of view. I grew up in the inner city of East Cleveland. I've gone to some of the best colleges across this country. I've studied at Harvard University. I mean, I've been all over the world. I've been to China. I've been all over the place. So when I bring you these podcasts, it comes from a perspective of a man that's traveled and has experienced many different lifestyles. So I will admit that, yes, your environment is very important to whether or not you're going to have some difficulties or whether or not you're going to have struggle. You know, there is something real to the thought process and the science behind poverty and how oftentimes poverty is something that goes on generationally. You actually can inherit poverty based on your lifestyle, based on what your parents have experienced, based on where you live. If you live in an inner city and your entire life, your entire family has lived in the same inner city and you haven't really moved around, yes, that's your environment and that's your circle of influence. And if you don't make strategic decisions, then you will just continue in that cycle. Now, I'm not going to say it's a bad cycle. I mean, it could be a great cycle. Maybe you're living your best life and you enjoy it. But I will say that if you want to change your destiny, what you have to do is look at that equation. Your environment multiplied by your decisions will create your destiny and destination. All right, so here's the deal. Like I said, your environment is important, so you have to start there. First part of the equation is acknowledging where you are right now. If you are in a situation where you dropped out of high school, that's your environment. That's where you are right now. If you're in a situation where you're living with government assistance, and there's nothing wrong with that because that's just a bouncing pad, a starting board. If that's where you are, that's where you are. If you are living in a situation where there is domestic violence in your home, that is where you are. That is your reality. If you're living in a situation where you are unemployed, that's where you are right now, or maybe you're underemployed. You know, you're not making enough money to pay your bills. You're not making enough money to survive at the level that you want to. Matter of fact, you don't want to survive, you want to thrive. So if that's your environment, acknowledge where you are right now. And then what you have to do is be strategic about how you multiply your decisions. So if you're in a position where you don't have the job that you want right now, or you're not making enough money, you need to multiply the decision about who you connect yourself to and what opportunities you pursue. And the reason I use the term or the equation and the multiplier is because it doesn't just take one decision. You don't just add your environment plus a decision to change your destiny. No, you have to be very aggressive about your decision. This is the positive end of it. You have to make sure that you are multiplying the decisions that you make in regard to the destiny that you want to make it to, or the destiny that you want to fulfill. So what I simply mean by that is, let's take an example. If you are underemployed and you're looking for a job, you need to know that's where I am. Right now, I'm unhappy in the situation that I am in. So what do I need to do? I need to find some people, places, or things that I can and when I say aggressively pursue, what I mean is you have to make sure that person understands that you're serious about connecting with them and utilizing their resources. You have to show up at their events. You have to talk to them. You have to email them. You have to stay in touch, because if it is a person who is in any type of position of authority or influence, they probably get solicitations all the time. And what will make you stand out is how you multiply that connection, how aggressive or serious you are about making sure that person knows that you want to achieve. That's the multiplier. And then the same thing happens on the negative end. You know, we talk about, how do I end up in a rut? How do I end up in a bad relationship? How do I end up in a situation where I keep losing my jobs? Well, I'll tell you, your environment, that means wherever you are, whatever skills you have, whatever relationship you're in. The question is, are you multiplying that negative situation? So let's say, for instance, it's domestic violence in your home. And I pray that no one's going through that, because that is an act of terrorism. But let's say that's your situation. The question is, are you multiplying that situation by refusing to leave, refusing to acknowledge what's going on, refusing to set standards in your life that you say, hey, that this is enough for me? Because it takes a lot to leave that situation. So you understand what I'm saying? It's not just enough to say, hey, I'm tired of this domestic violence relationship, I'm going to go. You have to be aggressive about it. You have to multiply that decision by saying, hey, I need to find out what people, places, and things can help me out of this situation. Because otherwise you won't have the resources to leave. So if you don't multiply your decisions aggressively and positively, and you sit there and multiply them on the bad side or on the negative side, your destiny will be to remain in a bad relationship. And that's unfortunate. So if you are in a bad situation, if you don't have the education that you want, if you keep, dealing with people and friends and family who are committing crimes and things like that, that's your environment. But then your decisions, are you supporting that? Are you refusing to set standards? Are you refusing to tell people how they are not positive in your life and you're going to cut them off? Because that takes aggressive action. It's not enough just to do it lightly. So I am submitting to you that your environment, multiplied by your decisions, your situation, multiplied by the things that you do, is going to determine your destiny. Your situation multiplied by the things you do to either correct them or enhance the negative situation, that is going to determine your destiny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is my podcast for today. Don't be so happy that I'm leaving you. Instead, let's celebrate that we are together. Hey, I love those little sound effects. I appreciate you giving me your time. I appreciate you listening to me. Please continue to listen to this podcast. Subscribe to it on iTunes. Share with your friends and family. Look, I am not going to monopolize your time. Instead, I'm going to give and add value to your life by making sure that every time you tune into one of my podcasts, it's going to be some information that you can use. And if you can't use it, somebody that you know can use it. So thank you for tuning in to Here Comes the Judge. It is Judge Dawson, the Yogi Judge, wishing you nothing but positivity, blessings. And as I end every session, I say to you, namaste.